Welcome back to TRU Explores, Newfoundland Part 2. Where we last left, I was in Clarenville, and this is us leaving on day 6 from Clarenville to travel to Bonavista. We stopped off first where the John Cabot statue was, or is, and John Cabot was the explorer known for rediscovering North America. Nearby is the Cape Bonavista Lighthouse. It's run by the province, and we were able to go inside up to the top, but because of the misty weather, there wasn't really much to see. The other cool aspect of this location, this attraction, is that a few short walk away is a island sanctuary for puffins, and so this was my first time seeing puffins in the wild, and well, I certainly didn't see just one puffin. This island had a sanctuary for several hundred puffins, and you can see them. They're the tiny little things flying around or situated on the crevice. As you can see, the view wasn't the greatest, but I mean, in typical Newfoundland weather-wise, the atmosphere was terrific. Just being able to see this cape and the water from that far. Shortly after, we drove a little bit to the dungeon. The dungeon is well, it's an interesting formation where there's two sea caves basically created from the flow of the water. The colors of the water is gorgeous. And then we head back into Bonavista. Bonavista, Newfoundland was voted the most road trippable town in Canada several years ago, and hopefully you can see why. For lunch, we ate at Skipper's Restaurant at the Harbour Quarters Inn, which in terms of restaurant decor had a very nautical theme. I had the cod au gratin, which was absolutely delicious, probably my third favorite meal on this trip. Following lunch, we had the opportunity to wander the town, so I did a little sightseeing. Then we hopped on the bus for a quick little ride over to the Matthew, which was the ship that John Cabot sailed over to North America on. Now this is a recreation of that ship. The replica of the Matthew used to be taken out for events, but now is permanently housed at the museum. After visiting Bonavista, we made our way over to Trinity, Newfoundland, which is a very small, picturesque town. What was included as part of the tour package was access to all the historical buildings in Trinity, Newfoundland. So I made my way around and started to go in a couple of these heritage buildings, but soon I quickly realized that there wasn't, the energy wasn't there. People weren't actually visiting inside, probably because you have to pay for it. And really after so many days and seeing so much, historical artifacts, I really wanted to spend my time wisely and explore more of the town itself. So following the Trinity Museum, I continued to walk around the town and explore more or less the outside. This here was one of the churches in Trinity, and this building was the Old Town Schoolhouse. Can't remember what these two buildings were. This was the Old Town Parish Hall. And there was a Aunt Sarah's chocolate shop in the town where I picked up a bar of chocolate for later on. This little house here had its own little hobbit shed. I thought that was cool. For dinner, we ate at a restaurant in Trinity. I had the cod cake to start and a chicken breast dinner, followed with I believe, either a partridge berry or blueberry trifle. After we got back to our hotel in Clarenville, I was still a little hungry, so I made a walk up the Trans-Canada Highway to the Tim Hortons truck stop and got back before the sun had set. Day 7 was the beginning of the end of my tour. We started north in Brigus, Newfoundland, where the HGTV show Rock Solid Builds is filmed. Brigus is also home to famed Newfoundland explorer Captain Bob Bartlett, as well as his family. The Brigus Tunnel, which I'm walking towards in the video, was built for his father, Captain Abram Bartlett. The reason for why a tunnel exists is because Captain Abram Bartlett wanted to deal with the overcrowding in the Brigus Harbor. So as a result, he bought a piece of the land here and began drilling through it, which with a combination of drilling and dynamite took 4 months to drill through. This allowed for easier access to Captain Abram Bartlett's ship and allow for easy offloading of his catch. The tunnel today is accessible for all that visit Brigus. It is definitely one of the attractions you need to check out if you're going to visit Brigus, Newfoundland. The body of water that you're looking at right now is Conception Bay. In addition to the Brigus Tunnel, we had the opportunity to walk around Brigus for a short time. Another attraction in Brigus worth checking out is Hawthorne Cottage. Hawthorne Cottage was the family home of Captain Bob Bartlett. It is now a National Historic Site operated by Parks Canada, and the interior has been restored back to his era. Brigus is a lovely town to visit. They have lovely houses. Their people are genuinely nice people. It is a great community to come and visit, even if it's for a short road trip. On that note, it was time to leave Brigus for our final leg of our journey, which was St. John's, Newfoundland. We were on our own for lunch, so I chose the Duke of Duckworth, which is a famous pub, and at lunchtime the restaurant was packed. I was fortunate enough to get a table where I had to try their famous fish and chips. Newfoundland is known for doing their fish and chips differently with the trimmings. The trimmings means breadcrumb and gravy. It's always nice to try something different, and I enjoyed the fish and chips, but preferably I could have done without the breadcrumbs. For our tour of downtown St. John's, we were joined by a local guide. Here's the Railway Coastal Museum, and soon coming into video is one of the trains that is on display.
had a narrow gauge track, and that narrow gauge track meant that the train could go very, very slow. In fact, it's not hard.
Here our local guide provides us details on why Newfoundland is known as the Rock.
And see all of this area that was blasted out, all this rocky area that was blasted out to build this new water and sewage treatment plant, which has been used to clean up the harbor. The harbor was terribly, terribly polluted with raw sewage and so on. And so that has been built now a number of years, and the water is much, and the harbor is much cleaner.
As part of this tour, we stopped off in several locations, the first stop being the Battery, but while staring at the Battery from across the harbor, we found a fishing boat that was offloading some swordfish. And there's going to be a follow-up video with another load of swordfish. It was definitely a unique experience just to see it firsthand. Here's the second video of the offload. We were told it was swordfish. I'm not an expert, so I can't really say one way or the other. Under the black tarp here, this is how much salt they have stored for the coming winter. Moving on, we stop off at the Terry Fox Memorial in downtown St. John's. This one is important because St. John's, Newfoundland was where Terry Fox dipped his toe in and began his Marathon of Hope run. Moving on, here we are going up to Signal Hill. I think it's Signal Hill. It's hard to tell. I guess the idea was to see St. John's from Signal Hill, but during this time it was way too foggy and it was impossible to see what was in front of you. That being said, I have to say I enjoyed the atmosphere. I enjoyed the fog. To me, Newfoundland wouldn't be Newfoundland if we didn't have that mozzie weather. Of course, there's a sign that talks about wind and fog. Heading back down, we go to Quidi Vidi. As you can see, the fog had lifted and it's nice and clear. That being said, I'm happy to see Quidi Vidi. This was one of the neighborhoods that I wanted to visit in St. John's, and we had the opportunity to do so. That green building in the background is the Quidi Vidi Brewery, where I had my iceberg beer. Wish I had bought a couple more bottles and had actually taken the bottles home with me. Following Quidi Vidi, we did a bus tour through Jelly Bean Row. And needless to say, Jelly Bean Row is not simply a row. Almost every street in downtown St. John's, you're going to hit a stretch of houses that have these very distinctive multicolored houses, which makes St. John's known worldwide, I would hope, as to how colorful their downtown core is. The end of the downtown bus tour occurred with Jelly Bean Row, where we were dropped off at our hotel room. And once I got settled in, I of course went back to Jelly Bean Row to take some pictures. Had to take some pictures of myself as well. Had to walk the streets. I also did a walkthrough of Water Street, and right now in the month of July, and I can't remember if it extends to September, is the Waters pedestrian market, I guess, where they close down the street so pedestrians can walk through Water Street. There's a nice stretch of shops. Here's a gift shop It's kind of pricey there, so you want to shop around. There's the Yellow Belly Brewery, which I almost chose to eat at, but there was actually a lot of other pubs that had better menu items. St. John's City Hall, where 0 kilometers of the Trans-Canada Highway begins, I believe. Unofficially, officially, who knows. I had to try some Sweet Rock ice cream. And this is my hotel, Delta Hotels by the Marriott. And for dinner, we were treated to what ended up being probably my second best or first best. It's a tie with the lobster, but we had a traditional jigs dinner. And I'll let the lady explain what a jigs dinner encompasses.
And also a peas pudding. And sometimes even their dessert pudding, their bread pudding would be boiled in that too. Yes, blueberry or partridge berry, or even raisins. And this originated back in the 1700s, this dinner. So tonight you'll be having your jigs with roast beef, codfish with scrunchions, which is fried for fatback. And what else? And we have turkey with dressing, the Newfoundland traditional dressing, and all your vegetables and peas pudding. So you'll see the yellow mushy looking stuff. That's your peas pudding. And of course we have salads and dessert. Okay?
The jigs dinner was served buffet style. Prior to the trip, my friend said I had to try the salted beef when I'm in Newfoundland. Had no idea what the salted beef was until I googled jigs dinner, and this is the salted beef. It tastes like corned beef, but in chunks of beef. Here's the figgy duff, which is sort of like a raisin bread pudding. I enjoyed that. That was absolutely delicious. Following dinner, we were treated to some music and some folk tales by this artist. He's actually singing with a couple pieces of bones as instruments.
Now the next door lady was old Mrs. Barrett. She weighed a penny and inside she darted. What a waste of a penny, for she only... I was going to say burp, but that was... They look at some beautiful restaurants, right? Food, Newfoundlanders, as I mentioned, travel all over the world. They always come home. Or you marry a Newfoundlander and you come home. Love a Newfoundlander. Who? Came home. That's how you can tell Newfoundlanders in heaven. They're the only ones who want to come home. So when they travel, we get all these chefs and everywhere. We get bachelors, and they brought an ability in different spices and different food to bring back to us here. There's one thing that chefs in Newfoundland, or in St. John's especially, are never really announced or really congratulated on. Their ability to make...
And this brings us to the end of day 7. Day 8 began with one of the main attractions of this entire tour, which was to go on a whale and puffin tour with gatheralls.
The other end of the spectrum. Look at this, a beautiful look. Kind of turn a little bit more towards us. Looks like a sieve-like strainer. There we go. Beautiful large humpback as well.
We had about 20-25 minutes of the whale surfacing, but usually their fin never did their head or tail break the surface, but it was just, it was quite the experience and one of definitely my highlights. Then part of it was a bird sanctuary where there were a couple of birds, not just puffins, but these loud birds are murmurs. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but murmurs, and needless to say, plenty of different species of birds. Here is a puffin that I believe I'm going to slow down as it takes off. And some more pictures of puffins, this time not as misty, so that was nice just to get some clearer photos of these beautiful birds. And as we circle back, one of the interesting things that we're in Bay Bulls, and one of the ships docked in Bay Bulls is the Arctic Horizon. I believe that's the name. That's the ship that was involved with the support and recovery of the tragic Ocean Gate Titan submarine from a few weeks ago. The last stop on our tour was Cape Spear. Cape Spear is the most eastern point of North America, and you can definitely see the Atlantic Ocean from here, even with the fog. The fog had rolled in, and I'll just listen to how ferocious the waves of the Atlantic Oceans are. After dropping us off from our tour of Cape Spear, the tour in itself had officially ended, and we were free to do whatever we want. So it was lunchtime. I had to try a moose burger first thing, and I did it at Shamrock City. The moose burger, I mean, first, it was a really good burger. That being said, I couldn't really distinguish the difference between whether it was beef, pork, combination of both, or moose. This is me in front of Christian's Pub, known for where you can get screeched in. I've already done that, so I didn't really need to do it again. And then I went a little sightseeing in downtown St. John's some more before doing some gift shopping for friends and family back home. And these are some of the gifts that I bought. There's some jam, there's a puffin stuffy, and a shot glass of getting screeched in. I like to also buy stickers just to show where I've been. And then this was from one of the hotels, I believe the one in Gander. Came with some saltwater taffy, I believe. And then it was dinner time, and I went to O'Reilly's rather than Yellow Belly. And at O'Reilly's, I had the moose stew. I wasn't satisfied with the hamburger. This moose stew definitely did it. So waking up on day 9, I had a lot of time before my flight flew out from St. John's. So I took the time to have some of Rocket Bakery's famous cod cakes. Well, really, I just had a cod cake. I actually had a free breakfast buffet back at the hotel, so just needed to try what made this Rocket Bakery cod cake so special. And it was actually a pretty decent cod cake with their own house-made tartar sauce, so I definitely recommend it. But back at the hotel, I had a buffet loaded up on the smoked salmon, and then I rested before heading to St. John's International Airport, or St. John's Airport. At St. John's, you can buy seafood from a fridge. These are the prices. And this brings me to the end of my tour and video. Thank you so much for following this or making it through this video. If you did sit through this video, I apologize if there were any boring bits. If you liked the video, please leave a comment and of course like and subscribe. Thank you.